The story of Derico Nwamama. Nigeria has had more than its fair share of violent crime kingpins, many of whom even sit in the country's hallowed chambers as respectable gentlemen, but few, if any, can juggle the people's memory, particularly those in the east of Nigeria, quite like the bloodthirsty young adult who became known as Derico Nwamama. Even though he was only 22, Derico's thirst for blood struck fear in the hearts of the people of Anambra. The majority of Nigeria's most notorious armed robbers held their reigns of blood and terror in the 70s and 80s, during an era where, despite a country covered in camouflaged green, crime and lawlessness were rife. Okwudili Ndiwe, a 22-year-old, also known by the name Derico Nwamama, or simply Derico, had risen from a random street urchin to become the leader of a ruthless armed robbery gang that was synonymous with blood and loss in the eyes of the people. At the height of his notoriety, traders could hardly display their wares with any illusion of permanence for fear that the cries of Derico would rent the air and begin another chapter where some would lose their livelihoods and others, their lives. It was no different at night. Many would say they could only sleep with one eye open because Derico would come when he would, night or day. Whether out of the desire to make big scores or just a sheer absence of fear, Derico would rob the biggest and most secure banks, carting away millions of naira and leaving bodies as his token. He and his gang would lay in ambush, waiting for luxurious interstate buses to rob. In December 2000, it is said that Derico attacked a 59-seater bus at the popular Upper Iwaka. After robbing the passengers, they decided to kill all the passengers. Only 4 would survive. After operations, he would often boast of his invincibility, that no man could kill him. At the height of his reign, it was estimated that Derico killed over 100 people, including police officers. Derico's main stomping ground was the markets of Onitsha, but he would also take his bloodthirst from Niwi to Nkpor, to the villages of Umuleri and towns in Ihiala. No one was safe, not even the governor, for the uproar of the people and the physical testaments to his atrocities made it clear that this was a matter to be troubled by. The people's fear of Derico made room for rumors about his person and his methods. Urban legends quickly sprung up. Some claimed that he was no human and could not be gunned down by a bullet. What was known was that Derico did not live where he worked. The media suggested at the time that he resided in the country's capital, in faraway Abuja, an entire 450 kilometers from Anambra. Derico only showed up when he wished to operate. After launching terror, it was onwards to Abuja. It was said that, for a while, he maintained a hideout in the town of Umuleri as well as in neighboring Agbor in Delta State. It was while here that he would send threatening messages to the police for killing his affiliates and members of his gang. Ironically, it was when he killed one of his most infamous affiliates that the pendulum began to swing away from him. Before Derico became notorious, the local police described one Chiajina as the state's deadliest armed robber. Like Derico, Onitsha was his stomping ground and naturally, their paths soon crossed. Perhaps because they saw more opportunities in collaboration, the two began to work together in a sense, sharing intelligence and scheduling attacks. Their relationship proved fruitful for a while, but Derico's bloodlust became too much for Chiajina. The two began to clash over territory and their approach to the fine art of robbing people for their money. One day, while they were having a particularly loud spat, Derico pumped Chiajina with a rain of bullets. Anambra could now make do with one crime lord, an immoral gang leader who was barely a few years into adulthood. Months after his reign of terror began, the people of Anambra were spent. Governor Mbadinuju was under heavy pressure to explore options outside the Nigerian police. Midway through 2001, the Anambra division of the Nigerian police began Operation Derico to capture the elusive armed robber. To put it simply, it was unsuccessful. Derico and his gang had an expansive cache of weapons that gave the police a run for their money. He was also notorious for gunning down police officers. Some reports claim that he murdered as much as 25 of them. Torn and running out of options, Governor Mbadinuju, with the support of governors from neighboring states, brought in a paramilitary force to tackle the spate of crime in the area. The end is nigh. They were called the Anambra Vigilante Service, or as they are more commonly known, the Bakassi Boys. Like and subscribe for more.